All right. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? I think I got volume. I got volume. I think I got everything right. Haha. All right, let's get to it. Today is a day. Today has been a pretty epic day. There's a lot to talk about. So oil up over 4%, Palantir up at close 4.7%. Actually, what I should do, give me one second. Let's go over here. I will pull this up. That way you can see. Bitcoin, real quick, while we're here, it still looks like it's in a bull flag. It looks like it's going to break higher. It did touch perfectly down at the bottom over here. That looks sweet. We're bordering 61,000 now. It looks like a good breakout zone. So if you did need dip buying today, if you could partake, I think that was the right move. I'm also going to look at Tesla super fast. Yeah, it did. Perfect. Look at this. Look at this. Almost perfectly. Like you could edge this, and it's really close to that moving average, or I'm sorry, the 2.5 year plus resistance zone. And if we zoom way out here, let me go back. Let me do this. Probably weekly. So if we go out a ways, again, you can see this resistance zone marked in green. Boom, touch point, touch point, touch point. Broke above, broke straight down, broke above, back tested. So now we've literally completed our touch. The next thing to happen would be to grind around here and turn back up. And if we do that, it looks like a cup and handle and an inverse head and shoulders. This is the time for Tesla to fly. Also, let's hop over to Palantir. Palantir screamed higher today. So up again, 4.7%. It's not quite where I said it could get to, which is the $46 zone, but it's getting real close. Definitely had a good day for anybody that was in it, and anybody that got out early. I'm sorry for your loss. This definitely would have been the one to hold on to today. And if I convinced you to get out, well, with my non-financial advice, I'm sorry. It had a little bit further to go. All right, let's sort over here. So again, shitcoins got hit pretty good. Tesla got hit, TMF, TLT, all that kind of stuff got hit. I'm actually going to flip the other way. I want to hit to the positives. SSE composite index up 8, Flux up 6, Palantir up 4.69, oil up 4%, Nvidia up 3.32. A lot of stuff up. Chips did really good today. Let's look at the stock map heat index. Jesse, did you see Amit's post on Tesla? No. What was it? Looking over here. So again, a big sea of red. The only really good spots were energy, minerals, Palantir, in a couple of chip sectors like Nvidia. Meta did all right today. Meta's not too surprising, and a little bit of industrial services. Outside of that, it was pretty much a sea of red today. All right, 1 second. Let's keep going. I'm trying to think of where I want to go from here. There's so much to talk about. There's so much news. There's so much news, guys. The port shortage stuff is crazy. The Middle East, I think, is going to light up tonight. I think that's one of the things keeping an overall drawdown in the markets right now. Economic data was good overall. Jobs data was good. Services data was good. There was a little bit of data. Let's jump over actually to that. Let's do that first. And before we get to the U.S., I didn't even talk about this earlier, but I've resorted things. And I've got it to where we're looking at the retail sales here for Hong Kong. I keep beating in the point that China is dangerous. And I want to reiterate that. If you look over here, we've been in deep negative territory for retail sales year over year in Hong Kong. And again, some of this is oscillation, but the worst we've seen since the pandemic, and since before the pandemic, it's the worst. Like this, the depth that we're in and the length that we're down here is worse than what we saw over here in 2016. So we're seeing a lot more downside pressure in Hong Kong. If we go over here, M3 money supply, India's expanding money supply. The U.S. does it. Everybody has to do it. There's nothing really too crazy there. Mexico, the foreign exchange reserves aren't too interesting. They're going up. Challenger job cuts, though. So this number was great. It was well underneath the forecast, and it was underneath what we had previously. This is good. We want to see less job cuts. Initial jobless claims, slightly higher than consensus and forecast. But if you looked at continuing jobless claims and 4-week average, they were all in good territory underneath forecast. Canada sucks. If you're in Canada, you know this. Hopefully it gets better in the next year. S&P Global Composite PMI final was 54. That was underneath consensus and forecast of 54.4. But the cool thing is global services PMI was, well, I should say this, 55.2 with 5.4 consensus and forecast. So it was zero point 0.2 underneath. But the good spot was the ISM services PMI, which was 54.9 when they were consensus was 51.7 and forecast was 51.3. So this was awesome. Factory orders were not as bad as anticipated. Also, subtracting transportation, they were good too. So factory orders month over month, they were expecting negative 3.2%. They got 0.2. And then again, X transportation, they were expecting negative 0.2. They got negative 0.1. All this stuff was good. If we look here, services business activity, 59.9, well above the 53 forecast. Services employment, 48.1. This is the only area of weakness, but this is okay. We actually don't mind this because services prices was a little hot at 59.4 and with consensus at 56.3 and forecast at 57.5. So we don't mind. Some of that is tied with employment. So we don't mind that. We don't mind employment weakening a little bit in the services sector. Hopefully that'll bring down prices too. The interesting thing was new orders in services, 59.4 versus 52. So the day-to-day guy was really pretty good. That is not why the market was down today. The market is down because of geopolitical tensions, probably the first driver, the port shortage, just the strike that we're dealing with, and then also I think the hurricane. I think all these things. There's so much mismanagement right now. I wanted to show you something real quick since they're talking about it. So this is another reason why it's down today. Listen to what Biden says when asked about what was happening in the Middle East. Let's just hear that real quick here, and let me move this over so we can hear it.
Infrastructure. Here was his answer.
Would you support Israel striking Iran's oil facilities, sir?
We're in discussion of that. I think that would be a little anyway.
That would be a little anyway. We're in discussion about that. So he literally said we're in discussion about attacking Iran's oil infrastructure. Needless to say, the market was not optimistic about that statement. And you're right, he doesn't have any idea where he's at, but it sucked, right? It's not a positive thing to be putting out there, and it definitely didn't help the price of oil. That's why it's up 4%. That's why when we look over at the, let's go over here one more time. Where was it? Right here. That's why when we look at energy section down here, energy and minerals, you can see why it's doing so well today because of that, right? So that one statement right there, on top of the geopolitical risk, making that statement did not help markets whatsoever. All right, let's keep going. I'm actually there's so much news. I don't even know. I'm like just trying to figure out where to go here. There is so much going on today. One sec. Let me just minimize something over here. Oh, where to start? Let's go into U.S. economic data. Got to watch this micro to macro if you haven't already. Thanks, John. Appreciate that, dude. You rock, brother. All right, let's get over here. U.S. economy. There's so much going on. So Bloomberg said sales of U.S.-backed bonds broke through last year's total and sit in a position to overtake the post-Great Financial Crisis record. Isn't that fun? So people buying our debt. Again, we haven't, everybody thought the end was coming, and that was a lie. Also, Kevin Jordan says job cut announcements in the tech industry fell by more than 28,000 in September, largest decline since December of 2022. Let me check something real quick. I feel like I should have more updates in here, but my bookmarks aren't showing it, so I want to make sure that they're in there. And maybe I'll skip it if they aren't. There we go. Okay, better. I was like, what the actual fuck? Okay. All right. The S&P 500 is currently up 5 months in a row, says Ryan Detrick. He said looking at the previous 29 times it did this shows stocks were higher a year later 28 times. Yes, this is just one small piece to the puzzle, but it does look like it does change the narrative that we're still in a bull market. I agree. We also have Tom Lee. This is him talking earlier in the day just about his concerns for a while in regard to the markets and the fact that we could have some headwinds in front of us over the short term, but we got tailwinds behind us. Let's listen to him.
People forget, I think, but your outlook and views are always nuanced to some extent, Tom.
Yes, they
so
are.
Last time you were on, after being pretty bullish on small caps through the end of the year, I wouldn't say you didn't change that long-term view, but you did express some near-term caution. And these people want to know, the people that follow you, the people that watch Squawk Box, they want to know exactly what to do every minute of every day. So it looked to them like you had waffled on your long-term view. And you're going to say the same thing today. I think near term,
Come on, Joe, speed it
you
up.
acknowledge that there could be some bumpiness, choppiness, but by the end of the year, you think 6,000 on the S&P.
That's right. I think we're still in the midst of a very tricky period because we've got the election in less than 35 days. And now we've got two things that investors don't know how to discount. One is, mounting tensions in the Middle East, and then a port strike that is potentially going to cripple the economy. And so I think that as investors worry about this, if we get a dip, and a big dip, I think you still want to buy that dip because the setup into year end has a lot of tailwinds.
The worst case scenario for the port situation is something that we've seen. And we shut down an economy already, and that was probably a time to buy. We know that. So we've seen that movie before. Could it be? I can't imagine it could be as bad as the pandemic, but we have shut down an economy before.
Yeah, that's right. So I think it creates headline risk because, the longer this strike lasts, there'll be companies that miss, and so S&P earnings might get downgraded or some stocks might miss results. But that's all just temporary. I mean, those are just short-term headwinds because it doesn't change the long-term outlook.
Agreed.
It's very strange that
I want to speed them up.
I don't remember any war that where the effects, and we've been through quite a few back in the 90s and in the 2000s. It never seemed to have as negative an effect on the overall markets as we thought at the beginning of each.
That's right. In fact, if we look at the last 6 sort of global wars or tensions, you almost always buy the invasion. The exception was 2022 with the Russia-Ukraine war because we were also in the midst of a Fed tightening cycle. So that was not a buy the invasion event. But the other times you did want to buy.
Both Iraq wars.
Yep, both Iraq and.
Yeah, I did say something about this earlier. So even the Russia-Ukraine war, 60 days out, Bitcoin was the better buying opportunity.
Where was the market before that happened? Had the levels come down, or were they trading at near highs or at highs?
Yes, this is different because we are hovering near highs and we're in an extended market.
And things aren't cheap in terms of multiples.
That's right. But at the same time, we also know there is a lot of cash on the sidelines because margin debt hasn't risen for 4 months. And that's pretty unusual with a rising stock market.
That's awesome. That's exactly what we want. We don't want leverage applied. We definitely don't want a lot of people in margin. That's when you look toppy. So this is good.
And now money market cash has actually been rising at a time when the Fed is cutting. So I do think there's firepower.
I agree 100%. Also, did you guys hear what was happening with DeSantis today in Florida in regard to the port strike? Did you guys hear about that? Maybe we just take a quick breather here. I don't know if I have it in here. No, maybe I do. Let me go back over. Let me see if I can find it. So in case you guys didn't know this, he's sending in the National Guard. Also, in regard to the port strike, there's so much going on, guys. The truck drivers all across the country have a message for the longshoremen. So there's like I'm waiting for some kind of confirmation about this from like the truckers union, but there's rumor that if the longshoremen union keeps their strike going and the to turn the American economy upside down, that they're not going to deliver anymore to these ports until they get a new union running them. So there could be some infighting. I don't have confirmation on that yet. Whatever, doesn't matter. Let me see if I can find this other one. There's so many things in regard to economic data points today. It's just freaking insane. At least 45 container ships backed up outside U.S. ports. Dock workers strike enters its 3rd day. So we got a bunch sitting out there. This asshole has a yacht and a 7,000 square foot mansion and a Bentley. Oh, yeah, right here. Okay. So strike. Ron DeSantis just signed an executive order activating the National Guard to ensure that Florida's ports remain open and operating smoothly. The Guard will protect port infrastructure, ships, cargo trucks, and workers from violent union agitators. So they're gonna bust the union here and get people to work, and they'll probably pay them a ton of money to do it. This is a big deal. Let's listen to him say it.
Will be deployed at my direction. The Florida National Guard and Florida State Guard will be deployed to critical ports affected to maintain order and, if possible, resume operations, which would otherwise be shut down.
So think about this, guys. It's an election season, and it looks like the Republicans, at least in Florida, are fixing things and getting back to work. That there will be an incentive there for other states to do that too. They're going to be like, well, we don't want our economies to get crushed. And how weird would it be if the Republicans end up fixing this problem because Biden, the guy who loves unions, won't?
During this interruption, Florida Department of Transportation is coordinating calls with seaport rail and trucking partners to ensure that all are prepared and positioned appropriately to limit disruptions to the supply chain in other areas should this continue. I'm also directing Florida Department of Transportation to temporarily waive the collection of tolls and other fees for commercial vehicles using public highways in Florida and waiving the size and weight restrictions normally governing vehicle transportation for the duration of this emergency. This will help expedite the movement of goods that have been impacted from seaports to intermodal logistics centers, distribution centers, and delivery points, and very well may help offset additional costs incurred by operation during this period. Finally, I'm directing the Florida.
So he's doing it in regard, and notice where he's standing. He's showing hurricane damage. So he's doing this on the back of the hurricane so that he can use that in order to be able to go after these guys. And I think it's fucking brilliant.
Highway Patrol to manage the flow of traffic from all Florida seaports and adjacent roads and highways as needed to further expedite the flow of goods that are currently being held up. This will include the provision of law enforcement escorts for commercial motor vehicles by FHP officers upon request. And I would say that this is something that would have significant impacts on the nation's economy anyways, but to have this happen in a way that could negatively impact people that are reeling from a Category 4 hurricane, that is just simply unacceptable.
Fuck yeah.
It really is
Fuck
incumbent upon the Biden-Harris administration to do everything in their power to ensure that these goods are where we need to be, that people are not left hanging out in the cold waiting for these goods if they're sitting in the ocean somewhere and they're not being able to be used here in the state of Florida or in Georgia or North Carolina or where people are going to desperately need this. We need to accelerate. We have no time for delays. Biden-Harris has a responsibility to stand up for the storm victims, stand up for the people who've had their homes damaged or who've lost their homes, and make sure they have what they need to get back.
Dr. Gonzo, so you're standing up with the workers that are getting paid, like that mob boss that's running this, gets paid like $750,000 a year. You think he's underpaid when he's holding up ports and threatening the entire U.S. economy at a horrific time, and aid to parts where that are destroyed by this hurricane. You think that they need a lot more pay. These, like the minimum, like the low end of these guys are making $150,000 a year. I'm sorry, man. Fuck that. Fuck those unions. They can suck a fat cock. That's bullshit. These guys, they need to get back to fucking work. They want no automation or efficiency gains because they want to be locked. These are these bullshit unions are the reason why America is not competitive. A true Bitcoiner, and I'm sorry for railing on this topic, but a true Bitcoiner believes in capitalism, and they don't believe that you should have unions that are these powerful organizations that can control and destroy our economy in order to enrich themselves. It's not like we're asking these guys to employ their 10-year-old children to work on the weekends. These guys are highly paid. The dude has a fucking yacht, a Bentley, and a 7,000 square foot mansion, the guy that's running this fucking union. This is bullshit. He's affiliated with the mob. This is bullshit. What Ron DeSantis is doing is right. And I'm proud of him for doing it. And we need to see more of that. We need to bust up this fucking union and make them go away. Give somebody who actually wants the fucking job the job. Fuck them. So that's my take. Let's keep going. All right, I'm not going to go through all of this. I do want to check it later on. But again, just like the Tesla one where there's just a bunch of analytics and examination, this guy's from Fidelity talking about labor. I haven't went through all of it yet. I want to. He's got a ton of slides. So I'm going to be looking through that tonight. I'm going to be looking through Tesla tonight and then go from there. Corey DeAngelis says The government school system has become more of a jobs program for adults than education initiative for kids. It shows principal and administrative staff, students and teachers, principals and assistant principals. Look at this fucking graph. Look at this. This is our educational system. This is why Donald Trump wants to do away with the Department of Education, because look at the growth since 2000 in the Department of Education. This is ridiculous. Why have we seen almost 100% growth in principals and administrative staff, and then 40% growth increases in principals and assistant principals, and yet our teachers are up 10% and our students are up 5% for like this fun? What the actual fuck is going on with our educational system? It's bullshit. It needs to go away. So we need to, the Department of Education needs to go away, and we need to get the government out of schools. We need to make sure that they're funded so that they have an even playing field, but that kind of stuff needs to stop right now. Let me see here. I think did we have this one earlier? Breaking, the Federal Reserve posted its biggest loss in history. 114 billion last year, and our debt is just ballooning too at the same time. Tier 1 Alpha says, despite declining levels of realized volume, our hedging stress index remains at one of the highest levels of the year as geopolitical tensions rise. Unlike FOMC or CPI events, war risk is much harder to hedge against with zero-day options, which has caused a spike in longer-dated skew, which, again, is the longer-dated VIX. And we'll look at that in a little bit, too. Let me see. Yeah, I kind of already did that one. Oh, we just did this one. All right, let's see here. Nope, that's probably it. That's up for the economic stuff. I'll go back to Bitcoin here in a second. And I do want to go through the rest of this. I want to look at the overall indexes real quick. There's so much going on in Bitcoin too. There's so much going on with Tesla. It's just been endless today, man. Endless. Let me get it caught up with comments real quick. I'm gonna let the stock heat map. I'm going to redisplay that here again. And again, Tesla looks beautiful, guys. This is beautiful. We're right at the support zone where I want us to be. We're right at it. This is great. We could chop down here a little bit. We could get down to the 237, 236 mark, but we're going to grind here for a little bit. We're going to go higher. And just like I said the other day, when we started to fall a little bit over here, it would be perfect for us to back test this and then turn it into support and then have that cup and handle sitting inside of an inverse head and shoulder. This is exactly what we want. Jesse had to catch up late for market open. Bro, you were on fire. Thank you, sir. I try. I was pretty energized earlier. It's honestly been kind of a good day outside of the market. Like today, what am I down? Let me see here. Oh, it's got a little better. Got a little better. Here, let me just scroll this down so I don't show my account number to the world. Let me see. I'm going to zoom in just to here. Let's see. Do that. Do this. Okay, there we go. All right, so it got a little better. It's under 100 on here, but it's still probably down like 120 across the board. So not the greatest day. What happened here? So Tesla got hit the hardest, 83. So if Tesla wasn't down, I would have been fine. Again, though, this is why I've sold 550,000 on the way up, is because I was able to apply that to other things that are just going to be multipliers to the upside for my entire portfolio later on. And even with that, in this one account, I show up still $360,000. And between both, I'm probably up like 420. Beautiful number. All right, let's keep going. So Mara did all right today. Mara was up 1.71%. Flux, again, closed up 6.12. It's weird that Flux and DLO were some of my better performing stocks today. Not expected. BITX up 2.74%. What did I get for my MSTX? Somebody asked me earlier in the chat. They said, hey, did you get any MicroStrategy? I didn't get MicroStrategy, but I did put 20 grand into MSTX today in trades that I shared both on the Discord and in X. But all in all, I mean, it wasn't a bad day. If you subtract Tesla from this list, and it looks like RG got hit a little bit too, I don't know. It wasn't a bad day in my opinion. Let's keep moving forward. I'm going to jump around between a few things here. Lots going on. There's so much Trump-related stuff where we need to vote Donald Trump. But I just want to say this. Think about this going into the election, guys. And I'm probably going to make a separate election video later today. One, we think HBO says they know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. That's interesting. So, and then this guy, Adam is awesome. Adam Back is from the Wayback Machine, right? He's an old school cypherpunk cryptographer, privacy eCash. This guy, and he's cool as shit. He's actually retweeted my stuff a bunch of times too. I love him. But anyway, he's in this video about from HBO talking about the origins of Satoshi Nakamoto, and they've supposedly identified him. So that'll be interesting. Let's keep going. Bitcoin. Just in, $800 billion. Thank you, Manny247. Gifted 10 memberships. I appreciate you, sir. $800 billion. Standard Chartered Bank says Bitcoin under 60,000 should be bought into. Also, JP Morgan says JP Morgan of all places says rising geopolitical risks could lead investors to favor gold and Bitcoin as safe haven assets. JP Morgan said this. The same person who said that it was a scam and whatever the fuck, it was like trash or whatever years ago, is now saying that they're saying that it's a safe haven asset. Crypto RS said this is not the time to be scared out of the market. Bitcoin is right where you want it. It's getting ready to skyrocket. And again, in this part of the cycle, I think we would have went up like here. I think we would have done like something like this. It would have been less than the previous because of economies of scale, but we would have done much better than we did with the double top over here. But that got neutered by the fastest rate of increases in history, right? But when you line it up like this, you could see how that second one wanted to be the higher one, but rates getting increased just butchered it. So, but the good times are ahead, is what I'm trying to say and what he's trying to say. Rect Capital, just like I was talking about earlier, said, "Hey guys, this actually looks fucking bullish. This is a bull flag. Like this is going up." I 100% agree. Marty Party said Visa. This is interesting. Oh, and it looks like he must have had a newer version of this. He said more on the Visa VTAP product announcement today. So there's another post that he had done. He said Visa debuts a tokenized asset sandbox to promote blockchain integration. Payments examined the role blockchain technology plays in cross-border payments in recent conversation with Shiraz Shear, General Manager of Payments and Commerce at Solana Foundation. Awesome. I love that these two are talking to each other. To support the broad ecosystem adoption of tokenized assets, Visa is committed to enabling safe and secure cross-chain exchanges of tokenized real-world assets using fiat-backed tokens. Gosh, doesn't this sound like something PayPal could do with PYUSD? Don't tell anybody. Payments examined the role blockchain technology plays in cross-border payments in a recent conversation with Shiraz Shear, the General Manager of Payments and Commerce at Solana Foundation. Blockchain solutions and stablecoins, like PYUSD from PayPal. I don't like to use the term crypto because this is more about fintech. They found product market fit in cross-border payments. Really, no shit. He added that one of the most notable benefits of blockchain technology is disintermediation, doing away with the need for the multiple hops from correspondent banks. This is what PYUSD is going to do with PayPal, okay? Same shit. The credit card companies are just trying to make it to where if you're international or doing these other things, you don't have to worry about all the fees, and maybe they can keep some of their margins, their 2 to 3% fees, but at the same time, you can win a little bit better. They're just trying to stay alive at this point. And here's his other post in regard to it. Also, the Bitcoin therapist said Michael Saylor's Bitcoin purchase history is a thing of beauty. No one will ever be able to dethrone the MicroStrategy. And this is where the term the Bitcoin yield comes from, because they buy into this stuff. They leverage debt, they buy into it, and they create a certain amount of yield from their constant buys, increasing the stock price. And it's a thing of beauty. Look at this. This is the way everybody should DCA. This is beautiful. All right, let's keep going. This one we showed earlier. It's just like buying Bitcoin now is like buying real estate in Manhattan back in the 1800s. I agree. All right. Samson Mao, I showed this one earlier, but I do want to say it again. He said, imagine, so this guy, Jerome Blockland, he's very much a commodity guy. He said, investors are literally selling Bitcoin to buy gold as geopolitical tensions spike. And Samson Mao said, imagine trying to hedge against war by selling Bitcoin to buy paper gold that you can't move anywhere in the event of actual war. It's fucking stupid. He didn't say that. I did. Breaking. JP Morgan sees, oh, that was the same one, but a different article. So I got it in there twice. Yeah, again, some of these we covered earlier. The gist is we're all going up. And I wanted to show this one again too. So this I showed in the morning market open. Buy Bitcoin at 4,000, nah. Buy Bitcoin at 9,000, nah. Buy Bitcoin at 16,000, nah. Buy Bitcoin at 60,000. I want all the Bitcoins. But right now, so people did that, but now they're like 7 months later, they're like, oh God, I don't know if I believe it in anymore. And they don't want to buy it now. Now you got Bitcoin at 60K still, and JP Morgan, Standard Chartered Bank are all telling you to buy. But do people want to buy? No. Welcome to human psychology at its finest. Always teaching you what not to do. in all the wrong ways. And again, I just want to reiterate this one and then we'll move on. Gold breaking new all-time highs every week. U.S. and Europe, China cutting rates. China in full send mode. The dollar about to fall under 100. That's not happening right now. But all these things, you've got all these things that have been benefiting the markets and that are creating more liquidity and getting ready to ramp us. And I just don't think people are paying attention to what's going on. I do want to go back and point out a few other things here too. Let's go to the World War III folder. I love that. All right, so in regard to a number of things that the current presidency is not taking care of or addressing in any way, let's talk about what's going on in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, Bahrain, and Kuwait have declared their neutrality to Iran and its conflict with Israel and will not allow the U.S. to use their air bases against Iran. They basically don't want to go to war with Iran. I understand that. That's probably fine. Israel's ambassador to the UN says we have a lot of options when it comes to Iran. Israel's ambassador to the UN, when you know that Iran is actually building nuclear capabilities, how long should Western world wait? So there's a question on whether or not Biden got asked questions about whether or not they're going to blow up the oil locations. And these guys, the ambassador kind of indicated maybe we should blow up their nuclear facilities. I wouldn't put it past either one of them at this point. I think blowing up the nuclear would be less disruptive towards global markets, so probably the better path. But it might ignite World War III, so you got that. Anyway, IDF strikes 15 Hezbollah targets in Beirut over the past 24 hours. So there's this small incursion into Lebanon that's occurring in the southern portion so that they can wipe out the remainder of Hezbollah. They killed all the leadership already with the pager bombs and everything else. Fucking crazy shit. It says, over the past 24 hours, Israeli jet fighters, guided by military intelligence, launched targeted strikes on 15 Hezbollah sites in Beirut. The attacks hit munitions production facilities, warehouses, and intelligence infrastructure. The IDF reported that efforts were made to minimize harm to civilians as Hezbollah places its operations within residential areas, endangering local populations. I have no doubt that they probably tried to do that. There's probably going to be innocent people that die. This is war. Welcome to war. This is why Iran puts all of their military and their terrorist organizations in neighboring countries so that they can get attacked and they can try and bring them into a broader war. Iran is mediating discussions between Russia and the Houthi to equip the group with advanced anti-ship missiles. So now we're working with Russia, or I should say this, Iran is working with Russia to arm the Houthis so they can blow up fucking ships in the Red Sea. I'm sorry, the Iranian leadership needs to go away, and Russia should stay the fuck out of this. Breaking. Israel has struck a Russian airbase. This happened again today, too. In Syria, for the first time, Israel attacked warehouses of the Russian Khmeimim airbase shortly after an Iranian plane unloaded its weapons for Hezbollah. So we know Russia's helping. Not super great. Again, just closer to World War III. And it's somewhat frightening that we don't really have anybody managing this at all. Yay. That's cool. Also, I just want to say this. I think, again, if you don't like Trump, that's cool. I don't give a shit. But I want to say some things that I think are interesting in regard to an investment thesis, right? This says Kamala took over $1 billion from FEMA and used it on illegals. Again, there's this whole app. That's what J.D. Vance was trying to talk about in the debate, where they help illegals. They give them basically temporary visas, sometimes for years, turn them into legal citizens, give them money, tell them where to go so that they can be imported into different small cities like the Haitians. Springfield isn't the only place they've been imported. They're putting them in Pennsylvania. They're putting them all over in these swing states, and they're working with their buddies that own these factories, and they're basically getting cheap labor, and they're getting these people to work, and then the government's subsidizing shit tons of it. We know they're spending a lot of money because some of these people have $60,000-$70,000 cars. So it's weird, right? It said, but this, think about this. Think about this from like a political investment thesis. Here's my thesis. I think Trump's going to win the election. And I think that because of a lot of things that are going on right now that I just wanted to reference real quick that we're talking about. The port strike, big deal, right? Fucking up our economy. Biden can't fix it. Why can't he fix it? Because he's a union guy. He's a union guy. And so he can't rail against the union And frankly, he's incapable of it. Could he have done this 3 years ago when he was like aware of what was going on and he just had moments of incoherence? He probably could deal with it. He can't right now. Do you think Kamala Harris is capable of it? Fuck no. She can't even get up from reading her notes in regard to what's going on with the hurricane in North Carolina when she went there. She just looks at her notes the whole time and reads the statement. And then when they ask questions, she fucking leaves. And that's not just there, it's everywhere. But then we're funding wars in Ukraine. We're only giving people in these disaster zones like $750. Think about the PR there. So these areas that would normally maybe vote Democrat are like, what the fuck is going on? Haitian immigrants are taking my jobs. There's like another city, I forget what it was called. I shared a video. It's from Nick Johnson. He's a YouTuber who goes around to all these cities that are just fucked up. Most of them are woke. Almost all of them, really. But he shows the poverty that goes on, and he went to Springfield, and then he went to this other city in Pennsylvania because people told him to go there, too. The population was only 4,000 in the city. I forget the name. You can watch the video. It's one of his recent. And there's over 2,000 Haitian immigrants that have went over to that city in the last couple of years. There's a bunch of people that refuse to talk to him on camera. Some of them said that they fear for their lives, that they fear for backlash. Others said they fear to get sued by the local government because there's some of these people that are making tons of money off of it. And anyway, and then you've got the government behind it backing these programs. So they're just afraid to even talk about it. But he talked to a few of them, including a Haitian immigrant that was there legally that flew himself there to work, and he was talking about what was going on. But just think about this. Think about being in one of these places where they're trying to drop these people because they want the Haitians to vote in the elections. And just think about how that's resonating with the locals. Also, Pete Buttigieg literally said this shit today. This is fucking insane. These people are trying to help in disaster zones so that they can identify where people might be dying so that they can save them because they've been without water. They're saying now that some of these areas in North Carolina could be out without water for a week or two. Imagine this. You can't even drink the water. It's not safe. And if you do drink it, you could like die of dysentery or some bullshit. And these guys are trying to help. And here's what our government has to say about it.
Our goal is to make sure that funding is no obstacle to very quickly getting people the relief that they need and deserve. There's also some safety issues that come up. For example, temporary flight restrictions to make sure that the airspace is clear for any flights or drone activity.
This is bullshit. They threatened to arrest a guy in a helicopter who was showing the damage. They don't want the fucking damage to be shown on television because they're worried about the political risk. Okay? That's what's really fucking happening. And then we got Musk here talking about, did you know that the federal government is spying on Americans' purchases, credit cards, and bank accounts, even if they're innocent of any crime? Did you know the U.S. Treasury and the FBI have surveilled financial transactions containing the terms Trump and MAGA and relating to guns and religion? These 4 topics, right? Doesn't that sound somewhat fucking scary and unconstitutional? Doesn't it? But this is the kind of stuff that's going on. So think about it. And then look, this helicopter pilot, he literally surveyed the damage and they were going to arrest him. Arrest him. You can't have drones there. They don't want you to see it. They don't want it to be on TV. This is fucked up. This is fucked up, right? All right, let's keep going. So my whole point here is all these things are happening, and a lot of these things are happening in blue fucking states. These port strikes are happening across a whole swath of blue areas too. I mean, obviously Texas, Florida, the bottom southern part, there's a decent amount of conservatives there. But just think about what this is doing. Think about what this is doing for people's vote. And I already showed the election details. I showed that before the J.D. Vance debate, which he obviously won, even though CNN said he had lost it when they were surveying people, and that Waltz had won hands down. Whatever. It's bullshit. We know that, right? But before that, before J.D. Vance crushed Waltz in the debate, talked about them trying to censor people, all the topics that Waltz refused to answer. Before that, Harris in almost every state is down between 5 and 7 points from where Biden was in 2020. Now, follow me down this vein of thought. I know I'm getting political, but listen to this. We already know that she's doing really bad. She's doing really bad. And whether you believe it or not about them stealing the last election, I do. I didn't years ago. I thought you guys were fucking crazy that believe this. But from everything I've seen and everything I've heard, and just even watching some of the statistical anomalies that occurred that night that shouldn't ever be possible based on math, I believe they stole it. But here's the thing. I think it's too difficult to do this time for a number of reasons. But I want to show this. So not only do we have strikes that are insane, not only do we have hurricanes that aren't getting addressed quickly enough, and where the Republican Party looks better than the Democrats because Trump is there giving gas and he was dropping off drones and stuff before Biden even fucking woke up. And not only that, but then we have illegal border migrations from the northern border. Look at how much they've skyrocketed. 365 in 2021, 1,000 in 2022, 6,900 in 2023, 20,000 in 2024. So not only are we getting invaded at our southern border, we're getting invaded in the north too. So not even just that. And this is just about lies from the media. And those are interesting data points. Here's the helicopter pilot, right? So think about this, guys. $750 to American families who have lost everything. That's what we're doing, right? And the head, what's his name? Mayorkas or whatever, that dipshit, said that they don't have any money. FEMA doesn't have any money to help with this stuff. And yet Kamala Harris used that funding already for illegal immigrants. And then they're trying to arrest this guy for showing how fucked this region is.
Underwater right now, if you can see the footage, it's absolutely devastating. Floods across the state have left millions without power, and hundreds are feared dead, perhaps thousands, in what appears to be one of the worst.
We've got over 250 or something confirmed deaths right now in this region, and we're not doing nearly enough to help these people right now. Imagine the backlash that comes with this. Imagine this in North Carolina, in a state. Imagine this. Imagine this entire region, how they're going to want to vote. And they're trying to arrest this guy for showing the damage. Look at this. Look at this, man. People just got washed away. And what are we doing in exchange? We're signing bombs and we're shipping massive amounts of money overseas. We had no problem sending $16.7 billion to help with wars in Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan just recently. But we're telling Mayorkas is talking about how we can't help the people because the FEMA's out of money. What the actual fuck is going on? I wish this was CG. Does anybody know what happened to this kid? Does anybody know if her parents are alive? So not only did we not help people in Maui, that area is still just devastated, and the federal government gave them fucking nothing. But now we have North Carolina that looks like it's going to go the same way. And we're spending all of our money on wars overseas. Look at this. Look at this right here. Feds says there's no money to respond to hurricanes. This asshole right over here. After FEMA used $641 million for migrants so that they can take our fucking jobs. And now we can't help people who literally their loved ones are gone. And if people try and privately fly in drones to see if they can help find people, we're going to arrest them. Bill Murray. Listen to Bill Murray. He's an independent. He leans more liberal than conservative. So again, we're going to get to my point in my thesis in a second, but I just need you to see all of this.
He's just such a different character than anyone that's ever been a president of the United States, I think. I think this is what this vote means, is that the country is dissatisfied with the way that Washington has worked for the last couple of decades. You know, they're lazy and they're about inhibiting the other side. They're not about working together at all. And it's sort of become such a national disgrace, a quiet national disgrace.
So, yeah, that's fascinating as fuck. And then let's look at this. Illegal immigrants charged with raping and murdering a 12-year-old girl, this little girl over here, were a part of the Tren Aragua or whatever. And the liberal media, they didn't even want to acknowledge any of this fucking shit. Micro, is this your official Twitter account? There's some fakes there. Yeah, there's a few, man. Always look for verified, and it's Micro to Macro. If it's verified, look at this little fucking kid got raped and murdered by a bunch of people that shouldn't be here. Shouldn't be here at all. Okay, but I'm getting to the thesis. I just want to load this up because you guys need to understand this. This is Governor Kemp says he was outraged that only 11 counties were included in the FEMA disaster declaration. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is the governor of North Carolina. Listen to this.
When the first emergency declarations came down, there was only 11 counties in that. A lot of people were outraged, including me, because there was such devastation in up to 90 counties. So we called the White House. We spoke to the president's chief of staff, the FEMA administrator, and said, look, you're sending the signal that you're not paying attention to some of these rural communities.
Yeah, I don't care how to pronounce the Aragua, whatever. Fuck them. They're a fucking gang that shouldn't even be in this country. I also have videos where gang members in southern Chicago are talking about how they're getting ready to go to war with Venezuelan gangs. Insanity. But listen to this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but allowing 16,000 rapists to enter the country illegally isn't very pro-woman. Let's listen to this. The Harris Walls team, let's listen to this. This is a former SEC head. I used to hate this guy. I actually really like him now, but let's listen to what he has to say for 3 minutes here.
Why don't we just start with what we learned last night? What'd you take away from it?
Here was my takeaway.
And I will get to my point.
That I've said it before. The American people are smart, and these candidates responded to the American people asking for substance. We had substance last night on the economy. We had substance on border, and we had substance on conflict in the Middle East and Ukraine. Yeah. And that's because the campaigns responded to the American people saying, give us something, instead of calling each other names.
And by the way, civility, I think, too. It was the other thing that came away from this.
And I was very impressed by the substance, and I was particularly impressed by JD's substance, not just isolated on those issues, but across those issues, how they all tie together. The American people know that a strong economy, strong national defense, and immigration, migration, where we're going forward, they all tie together. And I thought he did a particularly good job of being consistent across those issues.
Gary, what did you think on the economy, the issues that came out there?
So I think on the economy, again, I'm not sure we learned a lot. I don't think any new policy was put out. In fact, the only new policy that's been put out since we were here last is the Harris Walls team did put out their 82-page economic platform, which is quite interesting, and maybe we should spend some time talking about that.
Well, let's do it.
But what we've learned, and I think what they continue to do, is they continue to reiterate that what you've seen in the past is what you're going to get in the future. So what you saw from the Trump administration during their 4 years, their policy of lower taxes, very accommodative from the regulatory standpoint, trying to grow the economy. They continue to reiterate that. From the Harris Walls team, they put out 82 pages of new and bigger entitlements. Like, I could go through the list, but I'm not sure we have enough time. We're going to talk about new housing credits, small business credits, forgiveness of student loans, higher inflation, enhanced child credits, preschool credits, long-term care credits, paid family leave credits, government control of health care, price controls. I can keep going.
No,
the list keeps going
you're
on
right.
and on.
I think you're absolutely right that there's a big change, but I would say it's the same from both campaigns. Because I would say former President Trump has laid out a pretty long litany of things on the campaign trail.
That's actually fair, but the difference here is that Trump is actually talking about fixing this by reducing spending across the government, across the board, right? That's the key difference here. He has talked about entitlements and things that will help grow the economy. I think that's the key difference.
That he would spend on. And we're not looking at a whole lot of ways to raise it outside of tariffs. So I think you're right. I think both of these campaigns are talking about pretty aggressive shifts from what we've seen in the past.
No, I think this is exactly what Bidenomics is. I think the Harris Walls team laid out in 82 pages Bidenomics. So now we can call it Harrisonomics. And I think what you've seen from,
I love Gary Cohen.
The Trump-Vance team is you've seen a reiteration of what they did in the past. They continue to talk about lowering taxes. They do continue to talk about tariffs. We've talked about tariffs where they're effective and where they're not effective. They continue to talk about growing the economy. Growing the economy so we have a higher GDP so everyone gets raised up, so we can grow wages, we can grow the entire size. And I think that's the difference. One is grow the economy so
Key difference. I'm going to leave it at that. But Also, so again, I'm trying to get a theme here so that I can really voice what I'm trying to say. Okay, it's very, very important. And I just saw something from Nikki Leaks that I need to get out there. Okay, done. All right, it says today's Philly Inquirer. This is in Philly. This is in the bluest fucking city in Pennsylvania. Watch. In deep blue Philly, working class voters are shifting towards Republican. Democrats have lost the most ground in neighborhoods where poverty rates are highest. It could hurt Kamala in November. This isn't a Philly thing, guys. This is an everywhere thing. This is everywhere where there are poor people. Listen to this. I'm trying to make a point. I want you guys to understand this. I wasn't going to do this here, but I need to. Listen to this. So this is talking about January 6th being such a problem, right? This is on MSNBC. Listen to this. This is fucking great.
A no for you after that. Why was it important for you to say no more Trump because of his January 6th conduct? And do you stand by that?
No, I don't stand by it, and I'll tell you why. I've now lived 4 years under the Biden-Harris policies, and I have to say that those policies are not only becoming an existential threat to our country's way of life, but to our allies as well.
So when you I'll let you finish, but this is so striking. You said it was a no for me after that, January 6th. I did. And here we are right now.
I did.
And you're saying it's a yes for you.
It is a yes for me. It is an absolute yes for me. That is how badly the Biden-Harris team have prosecuted their job.
But the whole point you seem to be making was that January 6th and that kind of attack on democracy is bigger than any policy.
But I am seeing so many attacks on democracy that eclipse January 6th.
So I want to ask Sarah.
Boom. Boom. This is the sentiment that's happening all over the place. Again, we'll get back to it, but you got to understand this concept because I think this is really crucial for what's going to happen after the election, okay? Really crucial. Mario Nawfal. Biden tries to steal credit as Trump and Elon deploy Starlink for hurricane victims. So Biden essentially trying to jump on the whole, like we're Starlink in the area, even though the government ended up doing like less than 10% of what Trump and Elon Musk did. It's just fucking insanity. He said something like, "We've put 50 Starlinks out."
I've also directed the development of deployment of Starlink satellites. 50 are in place right now. More are going to be put in place so people in places like Canton can call for help and reach the ones that love loved ones who they're not sure.
All bullshit, man. All this was done beforehand. The government's played very little part in all of this. Like, look at this. That's it. That's the response to that shit right there. Okay. So, but we're getting there. There's just so much to go over. Let me see here. No, that's probably good. That's good from that front. Here's the thesis I want to make. You have a hurricane that is not being addressed the way that it should. I think we just made a few. I showed you quite a few examples of just how fucked up it all is, right? And then we have out of control wars that are escalating and getting worse, right? I think we can agree on that. And now you have oil prices going up. And then you have Kamala Harris and Biden not being present for this stuff, like doing photo ops, not really leading this stuff. And I think, and then on top of that, when you look at the election, and I showed some points to people before, but when you look at the election results, and again, there's so much going on with that. This says new lawsuit, Arizona illegally covering up voter scandal. Arizona is illegally withholding the list of 218,000 registered voters who had not proved proof of citizenship as required. So they've been sued because they want the list, and they should give them the list so that other people can try and validate if they're actual citizens. And this is the shit that's happening. They're not giving it. Also, in Virginia, listen to this. This is good. If you believe Trump can make America better, and most importantly, can benefit the economy and the markets. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's the least important, but that's a secondary effect. But most importantly, help freedom of speech and everything else. Listen to this. Virginia, vote by mail backlog has cleared, and it's not helping the Democratic Party. And I've got stats. I've got charts that show this stuff too. Number two, very few new mail requests are coming in. So the mail-in vote is not helping the Democratic Party in Virginia either. Very low turnout in some key Democratic counties has been noticed from the mail-in votes and things that have already happened because they started voting in Virginia quite a bit early. So we know this, right? We know the turnout for these registered voters and new registered voters is stupid fucking low. Rasmussen also just yesterday, before the debate, I should say this, before the debate results really went out, had Trump winning popularity vote by 2 points. 2 points. This is huge. Let me show this here too. I said if real Donald Trump, this is from October 1st, before the debate, if real Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania, there's a 93% chance he wins the race. And he's doing close to 7 points better than back with Joe Biden was polling. Even the general election looks like trash for Kamala. Even with biased pollsters, like Bloomberg and Morning Consult are essentially Michael Bloomberg, and he ran for the Democratic Party, and he's a sleazy fuck. And Bloomberg is definitely leaning towards the left on all their polls. You look historically, they're one of the worst. New York Times is pretty bad too, and there's a few others that can be bad. But I just want to show you this real quick. This is insane, and I might lose some people and some of you fall off, but I need you guys to understand this because I think it's going to affect our finances. So let's look at this. The 2020 general election, Trump versus Biden. The RCP average, the real polling average of all these, like The Economist, IBD Tip, Reuters, Ipsos, they suck too, CNBC. Look at this. Biden by 10, they said. Look at this. And this is just, we're going to validate what the shitty pollsters are real quick, okay? And all of them, like these, the ones that are done with Fox News and others, they get bombarded by the left, so they're fucked too. Harvard Harris obviously leans left. Fox News leans left. Survey USA leans left. NBC leans left. Just look at the debates. Quinnipiac leans very left. Rasmussen had Biden winning by 1. It leans more right, but look at this. Biden won by 4.5. So the real clear polling, all these guys that were saying 10, 8, 10, 11, all of them were bullshit and they weren't even fucking close. Okay? IBD Tip, Biden 4, real close. And I don't even know if Atlas Intel had surveys in this one, but they crush it. They're like one of the best across the world. And they're doing polls now for this current election. But here's what I want to show you. So let's look at that. So the RCP average had him up by 7.2. Biden was clearly going to win by this, right? But the actual results were up by 4.5 for the popular vote. So there's a 3.7 disparity towards a bias towards the left. Now let's look over here. The RCP average is 2 for Kamala Harris. And it was 7.2. So it's already down. She's already 5.2 worse than Trump right out of the gate. And then let's look at the repeat offenders, like the Morning Consult, like Reuters Ipsos. What did they have in 2020? Let's see how bad they were. Or were they close? No, they were 7. So they were up by 2.5 points. So they were off too. So let's take 2.5 points from this, and we'll say that it's 3.5 is what they had. So, but if you look at these ones from last time, and then you added them up and you changed this average, because of the fact of the bias and the fact that they were wrong, like let's go back over here. So we know that there was a 3.7 disparity on the actual results. So let's subtract 3.7. Let's not complicate it. Let's subtract 3.7 from here. We have Trump winning by 1.7 points. But that's not even just the interesting stuff. Let's look at other states. Arizona. In 2020, Biden was winning by 3.6. Now, Trump by 1.7. And if you took out the bullshit from like Bloomberg, Trump is winning by over 2. Look at this. Trump in 2016, when he beat Hillary, he was up by 2.5. So Trump is doing as good in Arizona as he did when he won in 2016 against Hillary. Let's check out Nevada. Harris up by 1. But look at this. Insider advantage. Some of the more current. Let's take out the cooked ones, right? Bloomberg up 7. Does that look like it should be included in here? No. Let's leave Atlas Intel. We know that they're accurate. They have 3 in here. But the only thing I don't like is the sample sizes are low. These are LVs. They're likely voters. They're not RVs for registered voters. Likely voter is better. You get better results with that. But I wish the numbers were bigger. But let's take out the Bloomberg and leave everything else. Let's say Atlas Intel is right. So let's say Nevada right now, that Harris wins it. I don't give a shit. I think that's probably what happens. Biden up by 5.3. Harris right now, 1.1. You take out this bullshit thing here from Bloomberg, and you probably have it at close to even, leaning towards Harris. I think Harris takes Nevada. Anyway, whatever. This is just one of the swing states. Let's keep going. Wisconsin. Wisconsin has Harris up by 0.8. Why is that a problem? Biden was up by 6. And remember, most of this, all this stuff right here is before the debate with Vance and Waltz. So if that shifts people at any way in the other direction, which I think it will, then this gets worse for Harris, not better. Trafalgar. Whatever. I'm probably butchering that one again. There's always one person in chat. Whatever. So New York Times, usually bias. Bloomberg, bias. Marquette, bias. So if you take out some of these right here, you have the potential for Trump to be in the lead here, most likely. Whereas Biden was up by 6, she's only up by 0.8. So if they didn't have the Bloombergs and the Marquettes, this would already look like it's in Trump's category. And this is before the debate. Wisconsin, Harris up by 0.8. Why is this problematic? Biden was up by 6. Last one from Trafalgar, up by 1. Atlas Intel, most reliable, up by 2. Take out the Bloomberg and the Marquette, these bullshit ones, and Trump is probably winning this state right now. So he's up 6 points from what Biden... Well, I mean, some of these were probably biased towards Biden too, so we'll ignore that part. If we look over here, let's see what they had. So RCP average 6.7, but look at the state. Look at the state. What were the final results? So 0.7. So it was way off, way off. It was actually a really, really close race in Wisconsin. But they showed him winning by 6.7 points, right? And look at some of these numbers. New York Times, 11. Reuters Ipsos, 10. Emerson, 8. CNBC, 8. CNN, 8. Marquette, 5. The one that was the closest was this Trafalgar whatever, like the conservative one that people talk about. They were actually closest, and they leaned too much to the left. That was in 2020, right? So assuming that there's still some bias in here in these reports, Trump is winning this state before the debate. Let's go to Michigan. Michigan, Biden was up by 5.7. Let's look at what that looked like. So again, CNBC up by 7, Mitchell Research up by 7, Emerson up by 7. Actual results, 2.8. Trafalgar was off by 4.8. So they didn't do good here. Insider Advantage was the closest. But the whole point here is, look at how much, so you could see that the average was still higher than what the actual final results were. He only won the state by 2.8. Harris is losing this state too. She's losing this state too. Atlas Intel, the most reliable pollster, has Trump up by 4. Even Bloomberg only has Harris up by 3. Like this is not good for her, guys. This is union country, man. This should be their place. They should win this, and they don't look like they're going to. Pennsylvania, most important state in the country for election night. Biden, 2020, 6.4. What did he actually win by? Let's go. 1.2. 1.2 is the final result for what he won by. Let's go back here. So 1.2, we show it as a tie. Trafalgar, I'm sure I'm butchering it, is up by 3. Atlas Intel is up by 3. Bloomberg is skewing this to a tie by having 5 for Harris, right? Take that out, he's winning here too. And again, Biden was up by 6.4. Here it shows a tie. You take out the bullshit, and it shows Trump winning. That is like a 6 to 7 point difference. In Pennsylvania, a key state, where we're seeing headlines like the poor in Pennsylvania and Philly, they're like, fuck Harris, we want Trump. It's all very interesting, guys. North Carolina, Trump up by 0.6. Previous election showed Biden up by 0.6. And let's look here. And Trump, so back then it had Trump winning by 0.2. And in the end, Trump won by 1.3. So if we subtract, like in Harris, this is way back on the 920. I mean, Atlas actually had Harris up by 3. Bloomberg had it up by 2. So we'll give this one as like a I don't know, for Atlas Intel on this one. But if you take out Bloomberg, either way, Trump looks like he's got a higher number than he had in 2020, right? Before the debate with the VP. Let's look at Georgia, another important state. Biden was supposed to win by 0.3 per the RCP numbers. It looks like it had Trump winning by, or I'm sorry, that was the final result. It had Trump winning by one point back then. Right now we have it by 1.5, and the only one that shows Harris doing it is 3. So honestly, guys, it looks like Trump is winning in every swing state. And I would argue this. I would argue North Carolina is an easy win for Trump. An easy win for Trump after what's going on right now. So there's no contention even in this one. And then I would think that other East Coast states see what's going on there too, with the strikes with the port workers and with the hurricane and the lack of help. I think Trump's going to win. And so here's what I'm trying to say. I think it might be too big to rig. And if that's true, I believe that Bitcoin and these other investments that we're looking at are going to explode when Trump wins, because all of his policies are pro-growth. He's gonna renew his tax proposal that was going to expire this next year. He'll reinstate that for corporate taxes. He'll eliminate overtime taxes so that the poor that are working hard and working overtime will be able to keep large amounts of their money. Remember, their wages haven't caught up with inflation. This will give them an edge and help them get back to where they need to be, okay? And then the other poor people affected on Social Security, they will have an opportunity to not have their Social Security taxed, where they can benefit and try and get caught up and get some of their spending power back. And then there's so much more. There's the child tax credit. There's all these things to try and incentivize people to have children and help families too, along with another corporate tax cut. And then not doing things like unrealized capital gains taxes, not doing all these things that would hurt business, and then incentivizing manufacturers to come back here and giving them tax exemptions to do so, along with a bunch of other stuff. So I think Trump can win. And if that happens in 4 weeks, guys, I think we're taking off. So I don't give a shit. Trafalgar. I probably won't get better at it. But thank you, BD. So this is just the point I'm trying to get across. I'm done with the political shit for now. And now I don't have to make another video later today. So that saves me time. So thank you guys for listening. But I just want you need to understand this. You need to understand that if this happens, I think the markets are going to go ape shit. Because not only do we not have to worry about communism taking over and having censorship, but we have policies that are pro-growth and that could actually help America. Okay? And if you don't understand why Kamala's policies do not help, it's not my job to help you figure that out. Like, whatever, that's on you. But this is a big deal. And I just wanted to get it out there. I know I've done shit with chat today. I'm sorry. I'll take a quick breather. I'll try and get caught up with a few of these here. Lena's going to be so mad at me. She probably will. Don't tell her, guys. Don't tell her. I'm not going to go all the way down, but I'm just going to run through some here because I have been talking like fucking crazy. OK says, Iran earlier today threatened it will attack other Arab countries' oil depots if Israel attacks its depots. So Iran's going to go to war with other countries in the Middle East that have refused to assist the United States and want to be neutral? Good luck. Good luck with that. All right, cool. They should have at it. Good luck, Iran. Here's the thing. We're the leading oil producer in the world. We'll be fine. I don't think that's going to work out well for them. Sealess, the Arabs mostly want Iran out and no Israel is their foreseeable. Yeah, I agree. Especially when you talk about like Saudi Arabia and some of these, and even in Iran. I don't know, like at least 50% of the population, all the younger people, they hate the current regime in Iran. They want them out. They want to be free. They use the internet all the time with VPNs. They see how the rest of the world operates, and they want to be free. Ship over the Greta Thunbergs. Give them to Iran. Let all these people be free. Doug Frinchak, I got to start listening to you with headphones while driving since I have kids in my car. I'm sorry, bro. I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. Tell your kids I'm sorry. If it makes you feel better, my 10-year-old, She's listened to me cuss like a sailor. And outside of saying frick, she's doing pretty good. I'm a hypocrite, though. I'm like, you can't do that. Just because your dad does. CLIS. So the Iranian leadership rocket bases, IRGC, oil export facilities, and nuclear facilities. I don't know, man. I think Israel isn't going to mess around. They're going to hit a lot. They already warned them. They let them know that they can hit them in the middle of the night and they can take out everything. I don't know. It's going to get dark in Iran. And think about it. If they just hit energy facilities and they bring down the ability for Iran to communicate and they bring down power, the people that want to revolt have their opportunity. They can't call for help. I'm just saying. Kyle Wright. Imagine the only people in the Situation Room making these decisions were Trump, Vance, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Tucker, and whoever the chairman of the Joint Chiefs Staffs. I would feel more confident. Ray Mize, go Jesse. Silas, if Israel can get it all it will need U.S. assistance for 235 mentioned on comment above. Israel can do all of it. They've got over 500 nukes. They've got all the advanced weaponry. They've got all the advanced jets. They already showed, after the 200 and something rockets that Iran shot over like a couple of months ago, they already showed them the next morning that they could bomb. They dropped bombs near their nuclear facilities, during their military facilities, and their energy infrastructure. They didn't blow it up, but they dropped bombs all around them to show them that in one night they can make them go away. So they don't need our help at all. They don't. That's a common misconception. And we don't even know. They might have a lot more. Israel might have a lot more than 500 nukes. That's all they've disclosed. They haven't disclosed new numbers in a very long time. Needs 55. Damn, you need any Canadians there? I could use a new $60,000 car. Yeah, sure. I think you need to be able to work for like $8 an hour, or you know how Democrats are. Evidently, if you're an illegal immigrant, they want to pay you as little as possible. I'm kidding. Actually, they're giving them tons of money because, again, it's the government spending and it's just our money, so it doesn't really matter. Silas, give the $2,000. Austin, Dougie Fresh, I turn this up so my kids can hear the real stuff going on in the world. Thanks, Austin. I try to do that with my daughter too. I mean, there's some stuff obviously a 10-year-old kid should never hear about, but I do want her to understand like why Elon is great, because she probably hears all this negative shit, and why Donald Trump, I believe, is a good person, or at the very least, if you don't like him, why he's a way better person to vote for. And I try to at least educate my daughter on the world around her without giving her all the nastiness. Silas, give them $5,000 if their house was wiped. Silas, private drones are a non-issue. They can help. I know, it's stupid. But literally, we've got the head of transportation saying not to help. It's not that they don't want them to help. They don't want people seeing what's going on because they think it's bad press. So they'd rather have people die and not get help than for the media to see it. Tell me if that doesn't sound like China. Casper Holt, don't most regular Americans get tired of this immigration? You would think. We'll find out in 4 weeks. Silas, AT is a classic helicopter, 60 plus years strong. Austin, that's some CCP level censorship. Hell yeah, dude. BD, Silas, indeed, wrong. Indeed. JWVB, Biden claiming Starlink was also hilarious. He's a dipshit. Manny247, importing illegal votes, wake up. I know, I don't even get it. Again, we have legal immigration paths. We should continue with all of that. Legal immigrants should be here. Illegal immigrants shouldn't, because they're literally importing them in mass and allowing them to cross in mass. And when they're doing that, they're destroying the poor people's livelihood because they're having to compete against these guys. Ask the gangbangers in Chicago. They're pissed. And you'll probably see news about that eventually, I imagine. All right, let's keep going. Whatever happened in November of 2020 could at very least raise questions. I think overall it was legit, but respect those. Dude, if you look, there's this one video I played. I played it. You know what? I'm going to find it real quick. I got to show you guys this. I think a lot of people have never seen the truth of what happened in the election in November of 2020. I want you to see this. 160. So I want you to see this, okay? This is what happened in November of 2020. What we're looking at right here is the race for Wisconsin. And you need to hear this, okay? You need to hear this.
168,000 votes. 138,000 was it, Tim?
Yeah,
138,000. You see the same. And see, look, this makes no sense. This is not even statistically possible where you have linear movement along voting like this. So you have a skyrocket. It should have been moving
now the
along.
argument is these are votes that came in, and they all came in at once. But the thing that's the irony of it, every last one of them broke for Biden?
There was not a Trump vote in there. They all vote, and you do not have a place in any state. Maybe Dixville's Notch, where there were 5 voters at the first thing, and they all 5 voted for Biden. Maybe there, but not when you have something of 138,000. You don't all break that way, and it still shouldn't be linear because you have so many counters that are counting across the way that they're all tallying and reporting, and you don't bunch them in and report one thing. So that doesn't look right for the process. It certainly does not look right for the fact that there is no place of 138,000 where you don't have both candidates represented. I mean, even the bluest city, you're still going to have somebody voting for the other party. And so these two things, it would not be a tight race right now had this not occurred. And this looks like it occurred maybe 4:30 in the morning. This is about 6:30 in the morning.
6:23 a.m.
There you go.
Here.
The other one on the left is Michigan.
Well, 6:23 here.
There.
Yeah, it looks like about 4:30 maybe that it shot up here. So those are the two charts.
All right, since Daniel Morales is obviously Hispanic, I'll try it. Aragua? Is that close? Let me know.
So now you hear that Nevada has shut down. They're suddenly not counting anymore.
Why?
So there's some crazy stuff going.
If you had to make a prediction, why would they stop counting in Nevada? I mean, people at home are trying to figure out, what? It's the middle of the day. Why would you even stop?
That's what's inexplicable by all logical, by all political counts. It makes no sense at all. So you would still have people working. You would still have people counting through the day, through the night, trying to get the tally. It makes no sense why you shut everyone down.
So to be clear, the election was stolen. The only difference was X didn't exist, and so nobody was allowed to talk about it, and it was censored via the feds, just like they did, just like Mark Zuckerberg was talking about, and just like they were talking about in the Twitter files. And this isn't the only bit of proof. There's so much, guys. If you really start to dig, you realize it was stolen. And it's fucking sad that happened in our country, but I don't think they can do it this time. We've got X, and this election is too big to rig. Joseph said, I'm joining. Not sure where you're joining, but thank you, Joseph. Needs 55. Help us get rid of Trudeau, and we'll quit trying to get in from the north. Laughing my ass off. Dude, I think Trudeau is done, too. Especially if Trump wins, Trudeau's fucked next year. Casper Holt, I love your passion. Thank you, sir. Vibes, facts, BD. Bill wearing a sweet pullover. I love Bill Murray. You gotta love Bill Murray. Andy Zhao, they put Americans' lives at risk because they gave the money to foreign countries for wars and illegal immigrants. If that's not treason, dude, that's exactly treason. So people need to go to prison. Needs 55, that passion is why I love Jesse. Thank you, sir. Soaring Shitty, oh, you were talking about your stuff and I fixed it. Aragua. Am I getting it? Fuck, I feel like I'm getting it. Maybe not. Let's keep going. Sealess, women being smuggled tend to have bad experiences. I know, they get raped and murdered and everything else. And you know what's sad? We still have like over 300,000 fucking kids. We don't even know where they are. Okay? That's fucked up. And I remember when it was Trump, there were like 3,000 or something. What is that? 1%? And that was a big deal and on the news headlines like every fucking day. And yet 100 times that doesn't count. The world, when you start to dig into it, man, you're just like, these guys have to lose. Sealess, growing the economy with massive inflation ain't much. Matt Nintendo had a convo with some coworkers and they laughed at the fact that I'm deep in MicroStrategy. That's cool. Let them laugh. Trust me. I used to have coworkers that laughed at me too. You know, the key difference between now and then, they have jobs. I do whatever the fuck I want. So you will have the last laugh, my friend. Professional optimist, did you have a meltdown? Not yet. I feel like I should though. Sealess, growth gotta exceed inflation and population growth. Menjinder Koner, bro, your coffee mug must have been strong today. You're on fire. Thanks, man. I got sleep. It just took a month. Barry M, I watched this. It was awesome. Andy Zhao, lol, the MSNBC host, absolute panic in his voice. Oh, right? The MSNBC host is like, whoa, you weren't supposed to say that. This is not the episode I was looking for. Daniel King, Dems have done more damage to democracy than January 6th, and that was his point, and I 100% agree. Austin, Biden, I've directed the development of Starlink satellites. He's fucking retarded. I mean, he's not retarded. He's just dead. Kyle Wright, oh, hey, good news. My dog, speaking of things that don't function well anymore, my dog is doing better. She's old as fuck. She definitely hurt herself, but it doesn't look like anything's broken her hip, and she started to stand up today. And so we're giving her medication, and she might be okay. We're hoping. So we just got to keep an eye on her and keep babying her. But she's starting to walk around the house a little bit, and the doctor said she's all right. So that's exciting and awesome. 94 clips. So yeah, she's doing better than Joe Biden. Let's see, probably more coherent too, honestly. There is no way Kamala can win the election unless they cheat. I don't think they can cheat. I just showed you how much harder it would be this time. And this, you guys, how many of you, all right, real quick, I got to do a poll. We're doing a poll. I want to know how many of you have seen this video that I just showed. I want to know how many of you have seen that video. Because again, back then we didn't have what we have now. We didn't have X. How many people do you think would see that video now? All right, I want to know how many of you actually saw that video, because this could make my case or make me look like an idiot. One of the two. It'll be fun and entertaining either way. All right, Starlink development happened in the 2000s. I know, right? Yeah, and Starlink going up into space has been like what 6-7 years now. Is it that long? I don't even know. And they've got like 7,000 satellites in space. That's really fucking impressive. All right, please answer the poll if you would, guys. Matt Nintendo, Steve Ballmer, then CEO of Microsoft, laughed at the iPhone when it first came out and said businesses prefer Windows Media phones and Blackberries. I know, he thought it was too expensive. The stock dumped the next day. People sold the stock. They saw that technology and thought, and the immediate response from the news media reminds me so much of Tesla, honestly, and everything they do, or anything Elon touches, was who's going to want to get rid of their buttons? Oh my God. So crazy. It reminds me of the Cybertruck. Now people look at my Cybertruck with lustful eyes. That will only happen more, I think. Matt Nintendo, true that. Let's see who will be laughing in a year's time. Exactly. Kyle Wright, Jesse, do the feds audit for people that have moved? I'm just wondering about California and other states where there was an exodus. Could California use the ex-residents to rig the election? California is going to rig all kinds of stuff in their state, but it doesn't matter because they're a blue state and we don't give a fuck about them. They're going to go that way no matter what. They can't rig the election. Silas, yeah, the polling seems more about steering our voters away. Yeah, but it's just not going to work. BD, Trafalgar. Silas, I'm learning, guys. I'm getting smarter. Silas, Kyle, the feds don't monitor voter registrants at all as far... No, they don't. Casper Holt, won't all working hours not just be overtime then? No, there's laws in place with the Department of Labor for different types of work and what counts as salaried and what doesn't. So no, you don't have to worry about that. So if you work overtime, you're gonna get that opportunity. And maybe some people will leave these corporate jobs and be like, I'm gonna fucking go be a longshoreman. I don't know. I'm gonna go bust the union line so that I can make some money. JD said Lena's gonna be so mad at you. Yeah, I should have kept her around. Maybe I'll let her come back. Chris Cashman, Starlink into affected areas, Optimus into the ports, thing of beauty. Oh, to dream. Imagine that. Imagine autonomous trucks taking off with Optimus robots, and you've got like drone farms going out there to try and find people that are affected, identifying where they are, and then prioritizing the rescue efforts without endangering anybody's life. Raphael O, and we have Kennedy. We have, dude, RFK is a badass. He's so... I didn't ever listen to him because I hated his voice, and I feel bad about that because it's some medical condition. But I never listened to him because I'm like, nobody's gonna vote for this guy. He sounds like a cancer patient. He smoked too many cigarettes. But when I've actually listened to him, like when he did his whole like got sentimental and misty eyed, and talked about everything he's been fighting for and going through in his life, and that he was switching over to Trump. It was the most patriotic thing I think I've ever heard. Swearing shitty. I don't get why third world countries like Iran attack Israel, who has U.S. assistance. It's just an old war, religious, radical war. That's all it is. It doesn't make any sense. Again, whether you like Netanyahu or not, he talked to the Iranian people and said, one day we'll be friends. And once your regime is gone, we'll be friends and we can dance together and sing together and be happy. Sealess, the Iranian regime treats the Arab world like its outhouse. Yeah, it treats them like shit, doesn't it? It really does. It infiltrates all over the Arab world. It disrupts their governments, and it injects radicalism. It's a horrible, horrible thing. And the U.S. helped create it. We built Iran. We created Iran. They were a fucking democracy, and we didn't like the guy who was running it, and we overthrew him, and then the country turned to shit. It's our fault. We did it. JD, the kids would be very intelligent from listening to this, but they would have potty mouths for sure. They'd be like, Dad, turn on fucking micro. BD, it's actually standard procedure to restrict airspace, including drones, in a federal emergency. These areas can be accessed with air traffic control approval. All right. Well, I'd rather yell at Pete Buttigieg, but okay. OK says to clean cache in TradingView, press the 3-dot button at the top of the browser. Settings, service, clear cache. Israel can do all of that by itself. Albert, I've read somewhere that there was a research that found people who swear a lot. Yeah, I did too. Once I read that research, I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to keep doing this. This is great. And it was when I was a manager of a support department. And honestly, all of my employees loved me because they knew that when I was talking to them, I literally cussed out one of my employees because he was being a dipshit and he was antagonizing another department. And the people outside the room could listen to me cussing him out. Needless to say, his attitude did change. Anthony, in Canada, and I know someone in the Army, they've been actively training for war for a couple of weeks now. And today he got a call to pack his bags because he's next to be deployed in Lebanon. Insane. Anthony Seclear, I don't see any media talking about this. Doesn't seem like it's training for troops there. I've never heard about that either. Casper Holt, I'm European and traveled a month in Peru this August. Peru is so cool, man. Mantu. Let's see, what is it? Piju? Peru is this August, and every American I met was deep Democrat, and they were all so angry and mad. I'm sad I didn't meet some Republicans. Yeah, it depends on where you go. There's some expats. I think there's more of those like in Costa Rica. The problem is some parts of Central and South America have really strong Chinese influence. The Chinese have such control over the Panama Canal. My wife was Panamanian before they moved here. And yeah, it's so you got some communist infiltration there too. And again, Brazil is run by communists now, right? It's practically a dictatorship. So there's some weirdness there. Luckily, we got Javier Milei. Maybe he'll turn the tide. Get more Republicans there, more conservative people. Just people that aren't insane, I should say. Albert. Anthony, where is your friend serving? Army, Air Force, Fleet? Canadian Army. I've never even heard about that. If you have articles or anything, I'd be curious to find out more. Casper Holt. But it was very fascinating to listen to these about their opinions. And I was always asked what they thought the process of Biden not going for re-election. They all said the process was good. Where all of a sudden the deep state puts Kamala Harris in? The least popular, the person who got like 2% of the vote in the last presidential debate. But like when she was running for the Democratic presidency against Biden, she got like 2% approval. And now she's all of a sudden the great black female hope. It's hilarious. Casper Holt, I felt like they were coping as much. Yeah, probably. The Machine, Jesse calls it as it is, no filter, and that's the reason I admire this guy. Thanks, dude. I don't like it. I didn't make it in corporate because I'm too honest. I didn't want to lie to people's faces or lie behind their backs or say things to coerce people. I just wanted to tell people the truth all the time, and it doesn't work in a corporate environment. That's why I'm a retired multimillionaire, because evidently I just got to figure this shit out on my own. Anthony Seclear, Land forces, I understand. Infantry, Marines, artillery, logistics. That's so crazy. We shouldn't be broadening the war. We shouldn't be bringing anybody over there. It should just be Israel. We can help them with defense in their country. We can help them with weaponry. They need to fight all of it on their own. That's my take. Albert, I believe in supporting Israel, but I don't think we should have troops on the ground anywhere. Whatever that's about, if you have any articles or anything that pertain to it, I'd love to see it. Albert, happy to hear that your dog's all right. Thank you, dude. Looking for group, that doggy. Yes, she's doing good. Her name is Shiley. She's a sweetie. Sealess. And thank you guys for all the wonderful picks and stuff. I haven't had enough time to really be able to be in the Discord, and I've got so much work to do still. I didn't do any of the stuff I wanted to do in WAMP, and I need to add a bunch of stuff to Discord. I'm going to work a lot harder on that tomorrow and with the crypto portfolio. I'm just going to try and really focus on these things in the next couple of days, at least into the weekend. If nothing else, maybe it'll be like last weekend, and me and admin wife will probably be crushing a lot of stuff over the weekend. C-List, Matt Nintendo, as long as you sell in time, your investments should prove fruitful. Barry M, 200,000. John Mars, love for your dog. Thank you, sir. Tim Wolf, I saw it a bit. I'm almost caught up on chat. This is good because I've got a lot of Tesla stuff to talk about. I saw it, but I was also pissed when I woke up and saw the election was stolen, so I was looking for evidence for months. Yeah, so the problem is this video didn't get circulated to anybody else. And let's see where the poll went. So this group, I'm just going to throw this out here because I've offended so many liberals. I'm going to say a decent amount of you aren't liberals. I'm actually curious about that. So 63% of you said you didn't see it. I'm going to do one more poll because I need to understand this. I need to understand my audience. It would be really fascinating to understand this. Which party do you align with? All right, I got to change some of these real quick. I just got to know this answer. Republican, if I can type. Got to know this because I don't want to make a statement and then be wrong. Yeah, I'm going to add a few in here. All right, so I'm doing Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, other. So if you're independent but not Libertarian, that gives you a thing. Answer that poll, please, if you would, guys. I'm just very curious to understand. So 63% of you, almost 2/3, said they never saw that video before. That's frightening, but it lets you know the power we have now with X versus what we had back then, right? Because we were being blatantly censored back then, but now we're not. We don't have the feds being able to control X, which is why they want to control it, right? Tim Wolf. Okay, keep going. Austin, where's the poll? YouTube? Yeah, it was on YouTube. Sorry. And it was 2/3. It was 63% said they never saw the video. 36% said yes. Alex Garcia, love. Back at you, bro. Can I get it to happen? Can I get the heart? Fuck it. I'll just do it this way. Let me do this. One second. Wish these worked all the time. Sometimes I feel like this thing doesn't like me. Sending love back at you, bro. Silas, I've seen 2 or 3 Starlink deployments by chance in the last year. Dude, I saw the train going by, and I saw them in the sky when we were at a river cabin out in the middle of nowhere. It was so cool. Every once in a while, you'd just see one go by and another one go by, and then a train went by, and then ones went in the other direction too. And it just made me feel like we're in the future. It was so cool. If you guys haven't seen it, get out to the countryside. There's even some apps where you can look up and see them. They're everywhere. It's so cool. Albert, Austin, yes, on YouTube. Jesse Franklin, Iran is just testing the U.S. and Biden. They're trying to see what they can get away with. Austin, ugh, only signed up on YouTube just to answer the poll. I did like the video, and now back to X. Hey, I don't blame you, man. I don't like YouTube either, but YouTube works better than X for a few things right now. I just feel dirty using it. Jesse Franklin, Biden, Green Bean, but that's why I created the Discord. That's why I also got the subs and X guys, is because I want to provide value in those areas. And YouTube is like YouTube's only $2. You can get it if you want to be able to talk and chat. You can contribute more if you want to, but instead do it in the Discord, do it in X, preferably without mobile so that we get more of the fee. But I'd rather have you in those places because I'm less worried about getting censored, and I want to be truthful. Green Bean, the printer is sadly full of blood and red ink. Money. Yeah, I know. Anthony, Albert, great question. It's someone I know, but I don't have that detail. Just found out. Yeah, if you find out any more that doesn't like expose them or anyway, I'd be curious. Okay, Israel had full ties and cooperation with Iran before the Ayatollahs took over. I know. Iranian and Persians are not Arabs, by the way. Yeah, I know. There's so much going on. Sorry. I generalize. The Middle East is way more complicated than people understand. It's a very complicated world. There's a ton of Arab people and a ton of other people. A lot of the others were wiped out by radical Islam, though. It was like an infestation that took over most of the Middle East, and we helped it. Ray Mize, Jesse, I'm not sure I understood the poll question. So to clarify, I agree with you 100%. Okay, cool. Okay, you had problems with TradingView, Jesse. Clearing cache can solve it. Oh, you mean I don't know if it will. I can try that next time, though. See, the problem with TradingView is the session disconnected a lot of the times when I get that, and maybe you're right. Maybe I do need to clear cache, and that's what's causing it for that time. I'll try it, and if that works, thanks, dude. But a lot of the times it happens because I use multiple computers, and if you use multiple computers or like your mobile device, it will boot you out of the ones that have a different IP address. It kind of sucks. TradingView said they can't do anything about it. I have to buy another service, but I pay for a lot of premium shit, and I'm not paying for 2 of those. Sealess. Okay, they're condescending towards Arabs. Albert, Anthony C. Clear, I'm asking because I'm curious, is your friend in combat up? Okay, cool. I'm going to jump out of that conversation. Anthony, you're right, but like Jesse said, we shouldn't be there. Just crazy. Canada is now having boots on the ground. We shouldn't in any way. If that's really happening, that's nuts. Kyle Wright, Candace Owens says that Kamala's dad was Jamaican but Irish descent whose family owned slaves. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. Most of Africa owned slaves. Slavery, this is something I think a lot of white people, and I don't want to just say white people, like a lot of people all over the place don't understand. Just like they don't understand how the Democratic Party was the party of the KKK, was the party of slavery. It was the Republicans that fought a civil war to try and free them, along with other reasons. But I think people don't understand that slavery was not invented by white people. We capitalized on it like everybody else did, but Africans were literally enslaving other tribes and then shipping them off and selling them. It was a nice business. So, and not just there, all around the world, guys. Slavery was all around the world. So I don't understand. People just seem to lack education. Flying for food. How can you say that you can't steal the election again? Do you really think these people will ever? So you got to listen to what I'm saying, right? What I just got done saying was there's a 5 to 7 point disparity between what Biden had for polling results and final numbers versus what Harris has right now. So I'm saying it's infinitely harder to do it. And I'm saying that X exists now, whereas before we couldn't get the truth and spread it in any way. So you have all of that. And I think you have a silent majority, people like Bill Murray and numerous others that might not be hanging up Trump flags or having things stuck in their ground, but they are going to vote for him in a heartbeat. I think the lower class of America has been devastated by what's going on. I think they can try to cheat, but I think the visibility into all of it and what's going on politically, first off, just because of the fact that Republicans have such a heightened awareness of the fact that they think the last one was stolen, it's going to be infinitely more heightened than it was this last time. It's going to be super hard to do this. It's going to be super hard. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I believe it's practically impossible. Todd Gleason, and if they do it, we're going to identify it. That's what I'm saying. Todd Gleason, you might get more accurate results polling at the beginning of the video before opposing viewers drop off. That's probably true too. But I'm just curious to see what it says. So this is actually fascinating to me. I'm going to end it right now. So 5% of you are Democrat. So the fact that 5% of you even hang, fucking props to you guys. It's for real, okay? That's awesome. Michael Fan, thank you for joining. 15% say libertarian, 18% say other, and 59% say Republican. I'm actually shocked that there's as many Democrats in here that have still stuck around because you guys are troopers. I have been nailing your party against a wall. I mean, ugh. So I appreciate you guys. I really do. Here's the thing. I'm somewhere in the middle, honestly. It's just right now I think there's truly the side that gets us towards the bad reality, and there's the one that gives us hope. And that's just the way I see it. And I'm going to voice that as much as I can. I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe in a uniparty system where people are trying to. There's no reason for Democrats to want to try have illegal immigrants to vote outside of trying to control it. And so I'm fighting on the other side, right? I voted for Biden last time. I voted for Trump or Obama twice. I've only voted for Trump once, but I'm going to do it again this time. Albert, Anthony Clear, agree. Israel absolutely take care of it by themselves. They can, and they should. Joseph Mock, wow, we have Democrats here. I know. Carlos, I have full admiration for you guys that are here. Seriously, I do. I appreciate it. Voted Dem all my life, Kyle said, but I'll be voting for Trump administration. RFK pulled me in. RFK is such a great person. He's between RFK, Elon Musk, honestly, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard is on a watch list because she pissed off Kamala Harris in the debate and butchered her and then dropped her down to the 2%. So what did they do? They put her on a terrorist watch list so that her and her husband, every time they fly, have to be felt up and searched. Can you imagine that? Somebody in their own party. When you have two Democrats, Robert F. Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard, crossing the line to support Trump, how crazy is that? It's just nuts. And Shanahan's a badass. BD says, the train is awesome to see, especially in West Texas. C-List, last night my phone wouldn't connect to T-Mobile. No data, only SOS, using the Hotspot Rescue Network. Wow. Okay, True Albert. C-List, I saw all in the D.C. area, closely spaced but spreading. The SpaceX deployment, that's cool. Shale, Cuban at all in. This is going to be fun. Early drop this week. Arabs were the slavers. They were, yeah, for the most part. No, that's true too. India has African Indians descended from slavery. Yeah, dude, it's all over the world. And like, there's a weirdness that people don't understand. Slavery was all across the world. I mean, it was across Europe. Royalty had slaves, guys. I mean, like, it was everywhere. Jesse Franklin, Kennedy, JFK wanted to stay out of the race wars in the South over segregation. He was worried the Deep South Democrats would not vote him back into office. Yep. Albert, slavery existed as long as civilization exists. I don't understand how anyone can say that white people... I know, it's so stupid. It's like we were... Dude, the United States, we were some of the first people to really fight against slavery. Shouldn't that be the message? Shouldn't that be it? Gin Chow, $2. Anyone else got their YouTube account banned? For what? What happened? I have not yet, which is amazing to me. I got striked once because of a Robert F. Kennedy video on health, but I have not been banned. Michael Finn says, became a member. Thank you, Austin. Slavery is just as prominent today as it was back in human history, but we call it human trafficking. I know, right? Jesse Franklin, we know how Lena would have voted. Lena? Yeah, totally. Tim Wolf, what was it that led you to vote for Trump in 2016 after Obama? I just thought I didn't trust Hillary. And I don't even know if I told my wife because she voted, I'm pretty sure, for Hillary at the time. But I got really negative vibes. I didn't like Trump. I didn't even like him, but I still voted for him because I trusted him more. And then after that, I immediately regretted it, and I just hated him. But I was also only listening to mainstream media, 20-second clips, and all they did was teach me that he was the devil. So I had that viewpoint for a very long time. And then and I voted for Biden. And then after the election, I was still defending him for like a year and a half, maybe even 2 years in. And then I just got tired of it. Once the Twitter files came out and Elon Musk came out, I was like, this is over. I can't. This is a party I can't support anymore. Victor, I vote Vox in Spain, which support Trump and Melee. That's awesome, dude. I hope if we see Spain flip, Austria just went anti-immigration and went conservative. There's so many places around the world right now that are flipping because they're just like, this is fucking insane. We're killing ourselves. Why? I think it's wonderful. I think we're going to see a lot of that. Michael Out, let's hope 5% Democrats vote for Trump. Dude, if that was the case, you know what? Let's do one more poll. So we got some interesting data points. 60% Republicans, 18% other, 15% Libertarian, 5% Democrat. Now I want to know, who are you going to vote for? I want to know this. This would be very... It's anecdotal, but it's also probably got a little bit of signal. One second. That was too long. All right. Whatever. I'll just take part of that. All right. So you got 4 options. You got Trump, Kamala, other, and I hate Trump, but I'm still voting for Trump. Go at it, guys. Just curious. Viva Vox. Hey, hey. Bookend tackles, important and pivotal election. I agree. Jin Shao, thank you for the super chat again. John Mars, Vox. Alex Garcia, Alvise. Okay, modern slavery still exists 9 to 5. Yeah, that too. Really well said. Okay. 100%, man. I actually had an image about that earlier too that showed people basically, they were talking about taxes and like, oh, this is theft. But then they were working all the time and they went to schools where they had huge student loans. They worked all the time. Inflation and taxation stole all their wealth and kept them impoverished so that they're in the wheel and they're still basically just working all the fucking time. Oh my God, there's a video I'm going to play at the end of this one too, guys. It's a good one. I'm going to play it. You guys will, I hopefully like it when we close out of this. And I've still got to get to Tesla, but all right, so I'm going to stop with chat here. I'm going to stop with chat because I've just been going like, we've been talking a lot, which is great. It's fun. But I'm going to hop over into some Tesla stuff, and then, yeah, we'll get opinions from around the world. Oh, interesting. Ooh, nice. Someone is still going up. Trump. Cool. That's fascinating. Oh, that was old. Why am I in here? Oh, yeah, this one. Let me go back. Let me go over here. All right, so I want to get back to Tesla. Interesting stuff for Tesla. So, and this is Elon Musk stuff too, X is the #1 news source on Earth, and it really is, across the board, everywhere. Son of the Walkie said, this is late last night? Yeah, late last night. Baird reiterates Tesla outperform rating and a 280 price target. Yesterday, my Cybertruck saved someone from getting run over. Look at this crazy ass motherfucker. And he almost got hit, but the Cybertruck swerved and avoided him from full self-driving. Awesome. This is the limiting factor, talking about Tesla's new silicon patent for dummies. Add Persetti Park's post below. A Tesla patent application was just published for silicon containing anode material. This company, guys, is getting ready to build out massive infrastructure. Dojo is not done. I'm not going to go through all of this. It's super nerdy and sciencey, but I guess Tesla's the next NVIDIA too. So keep that in mind. Congratulations, James Stevenson. He said exponential growth. Tesla's cumulative vehicle production since inception. People keep thinking that this company isn't going parabolic. It still is. And it's just going to get steeper. Pick said Tesla plans an $800 million debt sale backed by prime leases, Bloomberg News report. Tesla is preparing to sell $800 million roughly in bonds backed by automotive leases from its prime borrowers amid a surge in similar asset-backed securities within the industry. So they're going to sell that because they can make a lot of extra money. Hey, maybe that could help with Q4 earnings along with a bunch of other stuff. All right, May Musk said, one thing I wish that would happen is that they start reporting software updates. So why was Tesla down 4+% today? I don't know. Probably all the stupid shit that normally happens. Like Tesla recalls 27,000 Cybertrucks because of a rear view camera delay. It's just a fucking software update. Elon Musk said X is not only alive, it's also #1 in both categories. This says the Democrats control legacy media claimed X is dying, but the reality, X is the #1 news app in America, both grossing and free. Look at this. Reddit is #2 now. X is the new Reddit. And grossing, nobody. None of these guys come close. You could probably add a bunch of them up and not hit X. The son of the walkie said Tesla chief information officer is leaving Tesla. Oh, no. I thought Omar from Holmar's catalog said it best. He's like, oh, great. What will Tesla ever do when that person I've never heard of leaves the company? That's my take. Sawyer Merritt said the Cybertruck has generated over $3 billion in revenue for Tesla so far this year. Tesla said in its Q2 earnings report in July that Cybertruck is on track to achieve profitability by the end of 2024. Imagine what that does for Q4. Gene Munster also said something. He said, don't expect many details at next week's Tesla event. I want you to hear this real quick.
I do, Melissa. I actually think there'll be 3 models. That cheaper model that we're just talking about, I think that they'll have a robo van, we'll call that something that's way off, and then of course, the robo taxi. So I'm going to this thinking we'll have 3 models.
All right, I'm going to have to skip some of this. I just realized what time it is. Got my brother coming over here in 10 minutes, so we're going to have to. So I said I disagree. So he basically said, I don't think they're going to give a lot of details, and I disagreed with him. And I said, oh, here I'm going to end the polling and just take a look here. I want to see how closely this is, and then I'll finish that thought. So I said I disagree with him. I think they're going to actually give a decent amount of detail, but I do agree that we could have 2 to 3 vehicles. But I think they're going to be a lot further along than people realize. Only 57 votes, 68% Trump. 12% said, I hate Trump, but I'm voting for him. That's fascinating. 10% Kamala, 8% other. That's fascinating. So 80% for Trump in this one. 80% for Trump, even though 59% Republican. I like that. I like those odds. And roughly a similar amount of votes. Fascinating. Okay, so we're going to roll through more here because I've only got a few minutes. Stephen Mark Ryan, he's over in Australia. Cool dude. Very outspoken, just like me. Just wondering if Biden or Kamala have publicly thanked Starlink and SpaceX or Elon Musk or anyone in connecting people to Starlink following the Hurricane Helena. We know that answer. CERN Basher is talking about this. He's basically showing how he believes Q4 deliveries will be good. I'm not going to go into all the detail right now. I talked about how we're bouncing off support. Tesla's the #1 most held foreign stock by Koreans. It's no wonder we're considered to be smart. Love that. And again, this AJ1 has tons of stuff in it. Lots of good stuff. We'll probably cut it short here in a second. If you guys have any quick questions, let me know. And again, I'm sorry because I said that I would try and do more stocks, but I just realized what time it is, and I'm short on time. Let me see here. Pink, Floyd, Rats. Let me see here. Gotta see if I can find this. Ah, yeah, okay, cool. I got another video that we're gonna play here, guys. We're gonna go out with this one. And this is to OK's comment earlier, talking about how we're all kind of rats in the cage. And this video, a lot of you probably don't even know this. So the day I quit my job or told my boss that I was going to retire at the start of a pandemic with only like $375,000 in net asset value, that wasn't even liquid money. And I told him I was going to retire. It was after watching this video because it was just one of those things where I saw it and I just thought to myself, like, I can't do this anymore. I thought to myself, I can't do this anymore. Oh, this is the shitty one. It's not very good quality, but it's good. And I think that, let me see if I can find the good one. Let me see if I can find it. I really want you guys to see this because it meant so much to me. Let me see if I can get a better one here. Ah, this is it. This is it. So I'm going to pause this real quick. Yeah, this one's higher def. Good, good, good. I'm glad I took a second. All right. So yeah, this one meant so much to me that day that I retired, and it changed my life forever. And that was almost 4.5 years ago when I was 42. So it was a really cool time, a little over 4 years ago. So again, I hope you enjoy it. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning. I'm going to try and get a bunch of sleep and crush it heading into this weekend and do great things. But I really appreciate you all very much for all your support. You guys are awesome as shit. And oh, missed the poll. Sorry, Blake. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, but enjoy the video, okay?